Hey, so I think because a lot of our students just finished objective test, so there may be some delay that they're joining us, but that's okay. I think we can begin our panel. So could I ask my fellow guests to turn on your cameras, please? Turn on your cameras and your mic. So welcome everyone to uh, sorry, let me just do this. Yeah, hi, wonderful. So welcome everyone to your panel discussion of this year's IEO. Once again, I'm Ethan. And this is our third workshop event for this year's IEO. So today we have very interesting guests coming to share about their career path and why they do what they do. So that is the title of today's workshop, today's panel. So again, because this is a panel, so we could try to keep this very relaxed and very interesting. So I'm also very looking forward to listen to the stories that our guests have to share. And also, we really welcome questions. So if you have any questions, please just write in the chat box. And then when we get to the Q&A section, I will read out your questions to our guests. Yeah. So just very briefly to introduce our guests before they introduce themselves. So we have Chancy. Chancy is the managing consultant at Korn Ferry. Can you say hi, Chancy?
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, that's Chancy. And then we have Toni. Toni is product leader from Boston Consulting Group. Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, that's Toni. And then we have Zoe. So Zoe is not in a consulting firm. Zoe is in the food and beverage industry. So she is the director of brand communication and product strategy at Pantry. So we have Zoe with us today.
Hi, everyone.
All right, cool, awesome. So I guess I won't take any more time, and I will let my guests introduce themselves. So maybe we can start with Chancy. Well, let's see who is the first, because we arranged the slides. Sorry, 1 second. Let me. My screen froze. Sorry, guys. Let me do this again. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I feel like I'm doing a presentation now. This is very corporate, so I'm trying to be very casual. Hi, guys. My name is Chancy. Very nice meeting with you all here. The SKT group has asked me to prepare a bit of self-intro about my background. So I graduated from Zhejiang University back in 2009. My first job was working for Anheuser-Busch InBev, which is the world's largest beer company, as a global management trainee. I stayed there for 2.5 years as a sales trainee, and then I transit my career to the job that I'm doing right now, which is the executive search. I have been doing executive search for 10 years now, and I'm currently working in Korn Ferry as a managing consultant. This is a very comprehensive slide, and our company does everything about people. And I'm fully into the talent acquisition part, where I do at the executive level search, which will help companies to hire their C-level talents like CEOs, chief financial officer, chief marketing officer, etc. So my job is actually quite interesting. It is dealing with a lot of people every day. The host also asked me to introduce one, fun factor about myself. As you guys know, that my first job was working for a beer company. So I am actually a certified brewer. I know you guys can't drink beer at your age, but I can, brew a beer. But that was a very long while ago, and I think that's it about myself.
Yeah, well, thank you, Chancy. I just learned something new about you as well. That's a beer brewer. That's amazing. That's a little bit different image from what I pictured of a fun fact, but that's really amazing. All right. So I see that we have quite a few people joining us just now. So once again, we really encourage questions. So please leave your questions or comments or anything at the chat box, and we'll have them answered during the Q&A. All right, next we have a very interesting picture next. I'm sorry, my screen freeze, so every time I have to exit this and do it
It's
again
okay.
manually.
I don't
Sorry,
think
guys.
I need that photo now.
Oh, well, anyways, well, it's here, so it's here. So this is, yeah, go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Toni. So I'm a project leader at BCG. So if you know about management consulting, it's one of the leading management consulting firms. So I'm based off in Shanghai and been in management consulting for almost 3 years. Before that, I worked in London for 6 years in the more like in-house strategy role. I can go back to what exactly those roles involved in the next question. So before I started my career, I did my master's at London Business School. And before that, I'm born and raised in China and did my undergraduate in China. So one fun fact about me, when I was in high school, I had some patents registered. So not high technology ones, but some really funny ones if I think about them now. So one is a pillow that you can change the height of it by sliding in like different layers, like zip on different layers to make it higher or zip off to make it lower. So yeah, I think that's like a brilliant idea when I was a high school student, and I haven't seen any of those products in the market. So anyone who want to steal it, you can feel free to do that.
Wow, so we have a very creative group of guests today. So we have a brewer, and now we have someone with actually inventions. That's amazing. Yeah, so let's move on then to food and beverage, to Zoe. So let me but I guess Zoe can start while I fix this technical glitch.
Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Zoe, and I was also born and raised in China as well. I went to the same university as Chancy, which is Zhejiang University in China. Yeah, that's the product of my current company, which is the cake. So I've been working in very easy to understanding industry, which is food and beverage. After I graduated from university, I have worked in a few restaurant chains. What it means is like McDonald's, KFC, that's a restaurant chain, but the brand that I work for is a local brand called Bellagio. It's not the hotel, it's a Chinese restaurant brand. And then later I also work in Intercontinental Hotel Group to create restaurant brands as well. And then 3 years ago, I switched to this company, which is working on delivering happiness to people, which means the happy things brought by the cake, the fresh make birthday cake and cupcakes. So I've been working in only food and beverage industry. So I've been pretty happy eating all the time throughout my career. And fun fact about me is one, I don't know whether it's fun or not. I managed to cake this R&D team, but I don't know how to bake a cake. But I'm a pretty good self-learner. So I self-learn watercolor painting. So this is my watercolor painting and some of my work. So I learned it after the COVID started. So I started to learn that at home. So I also used to self-learn ukulele within 1 month as well. So I think I'm a pretty good self-learner. Yeah, that's it.
Wow, thank you. I think our guests are just the most creative group. Yeah, and you all come from very, very different and diverse backgrounds, and I think it's great to have a chance to tell our students and the team leaders, perhaps, what took you here eventually. So we'll start with our first question, and which is, if each of you could describe what would you do, what is that you do, and what is a key competency that's most required in your job, because you all work in very different fields, very different areas, and I'm sure that the competency probably be different, but there's also probably be some similarities to it. So perhaps our students could make aware of that at a younger age, and can be inspired to learn what they need to grasp or what they need to acquire at a younger age. So I guess we can start with Zoe, I guess, so we'll move things backwards.
Okay, so our company, like I said, we basically make cakes, cupcakes and birthday cakes, and then we deliver to people's home or their office as they order. So the company does this business, and I'm at the management team already, managing a very big group, a big team, which across functions. So there are 3 functions on my team. The first function is product development, which means it develop the new products. Like the cake, we develop about 100, sometimes in some years we develop about 100 new cakes, very creative cakes, every year. And there's another team that is doing the design. So everything that you see, the photos that we take about the products, and also any other marketing materials, that is the visual materials, is designed by the design team. And the third team is the brand marketing team. So what they do is basically they need to create some materials and also activities to communicate with our customers, to tell them what exactly is so special about our brand, Pantry Best, why you should buy cake from us instead of other brands, and what is so special of our products as well. So it's like, for this team, is basically the very core team of our company. And so in order to manage a big team, what kind of competency that I need would be, the first one is the leadership, because I'm managing a big team. So I need to understand how to manage the people, how to motivate them to work better, and how to put the right person at the right position. And the second thing, because the second competency is, because I'm managing the product, although I don't know how to bake a cake, I need to make the final call of what kind of cake that would define our brand, what kind of cake we should sell, we should decide to launch, so that it will bring us good business. So in order to be able to make the final decision, I need to understand what the market needs, which means like what the young people would like to eat, what kind of design they like, what kind of flavor they like. So what is the market trend there in terms of the products, in order to make the decision. And the second part is the brand marketing team. So I need to have a sense of our competitors, what are they doing, and also what kind of positioning our brand is. How do we define the position that will make our brand special, and what kind of things that we should do. Like, for example, we would understand a lot of brands are doing a lot of brand activities, like marketing activities. For example, Coca-Cola, they do some kind of special activity, some set installment, we call that, with their the bottles. And this kind of activity to tell you what is so special about this brand, what we care about. So the brand team is doing something to communicate with the customers. So my role is to make sure that this team is on the right track and we are meeting our goals. So yeah, that's basically my role, and also the competency that I need.
Wow, thank you. And next we have Toni.
Yeah, sure. So what I do, I work for a management consulting firm, right? So when I was your age at high school, I had no idea what management consulting is. So if you don't know, that's okay. Just to put it simply, it's like an extra brain for the company CEO and executives when they have some tough problems they don't know how to solve. So for example, if Zoe's company want to grow 10 times of its revenue in the next 3 years, and they want to know how to do it most efficiently, and they want to learn what their competitors are doing. They also want to learn across different industry what are the best practices. So that's when they can bring in the management consulting firm, because we work with different clients across different sectors, and we know the best practice in each sector, and we'd like to think of ourselves as kind of smart people, so we can crack the like tough problems for those companies. In terms of key competencies, I think the first one is definitely the ability to survive with very little sleep, because you really work very long hours. And secondly, it's the ability to learn things very quickly, because you just get to throw to a new industry, a new company, and you need to have the ability to learn about the industry, learn about the company very quickly, because that's what the clients expect from you. Like, they expect you to be the expert, so they assume that you already know a lot about the company and the industry. And thirdly, I think the ability to really dig into information, so numbers and other information, and be able to kind of in the maze and find the answer, go through all the information and come up with ideas, solutions. Be able to have the you can sort of dig deep into the information, but also the ability to take a step back and have a helicopter view, have a CEO view, to come up with those strategies and directions, instead of being buried in all those details. Yeah, I think those are the key competencies.
Well, both of your work so far sounds very challenging to me, and I look forward to Chancy's sharing.
Okay, let me use the example of Tony's view, and also let's imagine Zoe's company now wants to grow their business 10 times in 3 and 4 years, and then Tony has come up with a strategy of how to do it. What our firm is to realize that strategy with people. So we might help the client. The client might identify, like, for example, they need a chief sales officer, chief commercial officer for their business, and we help the client to target, who is the best person to do this job. So day to day, I do a lot of candidate interviews and client interviews as well, just to understand, what is the needs from the business and how can we have the right people to be in place to implement that strategy. And I think for candidate, we help a lot of candidates. We say changing their lives quite a lot using that word, because once they change a job, they step into a much more senior role. They suddenly see things in a very different perspective, and then they grow themselves. So I would say my job is really meaningful. And then day to day, I just deal with different people every day, and it was different challenge every day as well. And I think the key competencies, I think one very obvious, because you deal with people every day, so your communication skill is very, very important. But I think behind that is the ability to really see through people, not just understanding their experiences, their competencies, but also to understand their trades, their drivers, to really using the very limited time that you have with that person to really understand that person, to form a view on that person, and then to really inspire that person to join that role, or sometimes sell an opportunity to a candidate, or sell a candidate to a company. That's involved a little bit of selling as well, but it was not like a product sell. It was more tailored into one certain scenario. So if you like to communicate with people and you like to influence people, I would say, you know, the search business is actually quite interesting. And yeah, I think that's it.
That sounds very intriguing to me as well. So thank you. So thank you to the three of you for the wonderful sharing, and you actually connected the dots in the end. So in the end, it could be a chain of work. So that was very, very interesting. Thank you. So next, our next question. Sorry, I have to do this every time. Right. Okay. Oh, we already have some really interesting questions, but I'll save those to the end. So our next question would be, you know, we were all teenagers, or we were all young 20s was, and I'm sure that, you know, today you're in your position now, and your interest and your passion and your ambition may change. But if you could, you know, remember, you know, back when you were a teenager, or back when you were young 20s, you know, what is one thing that really interested you back then, and how does that sort of connect with what you do now? Or is there a causation relationship or a correlation relationship with, you know, the career path that you've chosen? So I think that should be really interesting for our students, and that should be really relatable to them. Yeah, so I guess we'll start with Chancy. So we'll do this zigzag.
Okay. So when I was a teenager, young, obviously I was very nerd. I study really well. So I don't really know so much about Korea. I remember, I think maybe something that really changes my life is I realized I had this probably a bit of stronger language capability than other people. And I was really competing in an English competition and trying to win the speech contest to be the #1. And then we did win the prize. But the effort of winning that prize is involved with a lot of efforts in practicing. And then also I get to know a lot of foreigners. You know, during that age, I actually was from a very small town, so there wasn't much of foreigners, but I participated a lot. And then I realized, wow, after learning English, you know, that was back many years ago. And I realized, you know, the world can be very, very big. And I started to have this curiosity just to learn about the world and then learn about different people. So when I was in the university, I felt like it was really, you know, eyes open. And then I get to know a lot of people from different backgrounds. And I find like, wow, I really do have a strong interest and curiosity in understanding different people. How does different perspectives holding together? And then how can people work together? So when I graduate, I decided that I'm going to join a more of a multicultural environment where I feel like this is where my strength is. And also I like to, you know, work with people from different parts of the world. So I have been lucky, like my environment has been quite international. And also we, for example, in my current job, we work with a lot of Chinese companies where they have aggressive overseas expansion. We help them to hire people there, and also helping multinational to solve their people challenges here in China. I think it's all started with maybe me, you know, learning really hard on the language and then trying to be really good at it, and then kicked it off with all those experiences that I have. I think that's most relating part. Even though I am actually quite introvert person, but when I'm on this job and when I'm face-to-face interviewing a candidate, I am just cannot stop, asking questions and really trying to understand what he or she is like in his life and what has made him or her come to this role, and then where he or she would be next coming into. So that's just a bit of story sharing from my side. I think it all goes very natural to what I'm doing now, is linked with what I'm good at and also what I feel like I'm passionate about.
Yeah, great. Okay, so then we'll have Toni.
Yeah, for me, I think two things. So when I was a teenager, I think I get bored with things very easily. So I don't like learning the same thing again and again, or do the same thing again and again. So how that relates to what I'm doing now. So consulting is kind of ever changing. So you always jump onto different topics of projects, work with different clients. So yeah, you'll never get bored in consulting. You could probably get burned, but you never get bored. And secondly, I think similar with Chancy, I'm also from a small town, not many foreigners. So I'm quite curious about the world outside of my little world. So I think that's also connected with consulting in a way that you get to meet different people through the various projects, and you just keep broadening your world by learning about new industry, meeting new people, connecting with them. Yeah, I think the dots really connects.
Thank you, Toni. So I think, and just like to our students, I think an international program like IEO is very, very special in a way that this is probably an opportunity that I think both Chancy, Toni, or everyone here didn't have before, is to have a platform to be able to meet with so many people from so many countries and to really broaden up your horizon. So I think we all cherish this current platform very much. Yeah. So
Yeah,
and then also
absolutely.
we'll move on to Zoe, please. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty jealous of you guys that when you were just maybe not even 18 years old and you were doing such an amazing projects or a competition or anything like activity like this, which is really, really cool. I think when I was that age, I think I just like many of my peers, we just study and study. So I grew up in a very in maybe some Chinese students will understand. I grew up in Guangdong and actually in Shunde, which is very famous city in China. That it was one of those private companies that were first started. So all my family, they do business. And when I was in high school, I was always the leader of the student union, doing all kinds of very rebellious things, challenging the school and stuff. So I've been kind of studied well, but also being kind of headache for the teachers all the time. So after I joined university, I also joined an international student organization. I stayed there for many years and also postponed my study for 1 year to do the full-time job in Beijing as well. So when I was in that student organization, I also got the chance that basically a bit like what you have now, to get to know about the companies, to get to know about the world. So I was pretty much interested in social enterprise, and I really wanted to look for something that is different, that I feel like I can fulfill a higher purpose to make positive impact on the society. So I decided not to join any big companies. And then I got a chance to take internship in a private equity company that is investing in F&B business. and then I got to know one theory is that because the restaurant business, they hire a lot of underprivileged people at that moment. So if we manage a very good company, the restaurant chain, we will hire a lot of people, then we make their life better. So I think, oh, that's kind of really interesting to me, and it made me feel like my work, my job is so meaningful. So that's how I joined F&B actually. But throughout the years, I realized later actually, I was always taking risks. All the companies I work for or the projects I work for are all at the transforming stages, which means that they got bought by another company, or they are at the stage that they want to make some change, or they want to create some new business. So I think I was kind of really good example of risk taker. So it's because of my family background and also the experience in that student organization that made me I didn't know it at that time, but I think there is a kind of inner voice that tell me that, oh, if there are two roles there, you should take the one that nobody's taking or less people taking. So that's how I make decisions throughout these years, and that's how I became what I am today. Yeah. So that's
Wow.
my answer.
So actually a very complex process, I guess, or a very complex movement that end up choosing. This is a very new sort of perspective for me to hear about why people join the food and beverage business, but it's very touching. So thank you. And okay, so we have one more question, one more discussion question before we proceed with some Q&A. And that would be, would you share with us a life-changing moment in your career? So I think because you are all very seasoned people in the workforce, you're all very experienced, and with many of you with a lot of management experience, but also you've built that from the ground up. So I'm sure that there's a lot of life-changing moments for all of you. But I guess if you could choose one that really stood out, what would it be? I guess this time we'll go with volunteers. So if any of you want to volunteer first.
I can go first.
Yeah.
The first time I saw this question, I feel it's quite hard for me because I'm not that kind of person who look back at too much. I mean, like, I think I really believe that every decision is important, shaping you, who you are. But at the same time, it's really not that important as well because, like, we will manage anyway. But so when I look at this question, I would think like, so what really made me more successful at my position now is actually I had two bosses in my previous jobs that I really have very, very tough time with them, which means like, like to make it more simple is they were really, really bad leaders for me. So I had a lot of bad experiences. So when I really first took this position as a leader of this team, I keep thinking about all the bad experiences that I had. And I think that I don't want to do it again with my team. I wanted to change that totally. It's just like when you had bad experience as a kid, and then when you become a mom, you want to be a good mom, and you don't want your children to experience what you had experienced before. So I totally had the same kind of mindset when I became a leader of this team. So I want myself to be open-minded. I want to really be supportive, and also really want to make sure I'm enabling the team. So that's kind of example of telling you like you need to learn from your bad experience. You need to make it into something that is like somebody give you a lemon, you make it into lemonade. I think that's a good example of that. So that's my answer to this question.
Thank you. Who wants to be next? Well, I guess
I
I
can
will
be
go with
next. I
Chancy.
can be next.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with Zoe. You kind of thinking about if there is a decision that it changes the life, sometimes it sounds very horrible. But we will manage it through anyway. I have this one example. I think it's very important lesson for me. As a consultant, we sell our service to our clients, and our clients pay us quite a lot. And then I think in the beginning, earlier of my career, when I was still quite new in this role, I am a very agreeable person. I feel like the client pays us, and then we should do whatever the client wants, and we should just serving their client, the client as their god, that kind of mindset. And then I think there was one scenario where the client was becoming more and more demanding and unreasonable, and I was really stressing out. I can't sleep overnight thinking about, how this assignment is gonna end up, and I was really stressed. And I walk into the our MD's office and trying to talk to him, asking about solutions on this scenario. And I said, I feel really bad. Maybe I'm really incompetent about doing this job, and maybe I'm just really bad at this. I can't solve this problem. And I remember that what he told me at that moment is, Chancy, you should say no to a client. It's okay to be assertive. I always remember that word. He said to me, you should be confident about what you have done so far, and you should draw a line about what is acceptable and what is not. And I struggled a few nights, and then decided finally I'm going to say no to this client, because this is just not reasonable to find out this kind of person in this market. And then, in fact, the client comes back with much more respect to me, because he felt like I have really presented him with solutions, with my findings, and then with a firm no, so that he can know what to do next. Because previously he was thought, I was always the one that yes, so I was always the one that still delivers something for them. But now that I have said no, he said, this is maybe the turning point for us to, really change the direction, listen to your advice. And I feel like so much released once the client changes her attitude. And I realized that was a very important lesson for me as, you shouldn't be putting yourself under your client, feeling like you are undermined. You're just, the client is just one level above you. You are a professional advisor, and you're sitting side to side, and it's okay to be assertive, and it's okay to say no. And then I think even in life, I'm sure that we all encounter various scenario that we just feel really hard to reject people, feeling that we might hurt their feelings if we said no. But in fact, it's just much better dealing with facts. That's what I found in recent years. If I can't do it, I just tell you I can't do it. I just felt like it's so much release about telling the truth, letting the others know what are the boundaries here, and then what I'm feeling right now. And I think it's a bit of shifting from the Chinese culture as well, because when I grew up, we all want to be liked by others. But in fact, you can't be liked by everyone. But you should be the best version of yourself. And then it's important to understand what you are good at and what you can't do. And then being able to tell other people to say no sometimes. I think that's something. And I always remember that quote, it's okay to be assertive, to remind myself sometimes when I was in this situation, I was intended to say yes to the client. I could have the option to say no to them, and then it just makes my life so much easier.
Thank you. And I think that's a very relatable story to our students as well. Even in schools, many times I think you face everyone, I think, in their lives face many circumstances to have to say no, and sometimes saying no is actually much more difficult than saying yes. So thank you, Chancy, for that sharing. So last we have Toni.
Yeah, I think I can definitely echo with what Zoe mentioned, that it's really hard to pinpoint a moment that changed your life, but there were certainly I think moments or things people told me that helped me to realize that something I didn't realize before. So I think for one good example is in my first job. So one day my boss, she asked me whether I'm the same person at work and at home. So how my friends see me and how my colleagues see me, are they the same person? So this is something I never realized or think about before. So I think before that, I was just being professional at work and not really being the same person when I'm with my friends. But what she said just helped me to realize that you should be able to be yourself in the workplace as well. So if you just put on a shield when you're at work, you won't be able to be the best version of yourself, like Chancy said. So I think it's really a good lesson, especially for people who just started their career. Make sure that you find a place that allow you to be yourself at work, and make sure you really be yourself at work. If you can't be yourself at work, that probably means it's not the right place for you.
Yeah. Thank you. I think all of your stories can actually relate with each other about learning from previous bad experiences to learn to say no and ultimately to be yourself. And I think that's very important for everyone. I think that's just not just for careers. Okay. So these are our discussion questions with our guests today, and I want to take this time to raise some excellent questions from the chat group or from our students. So the first one is how did you found so who paid for your college education, essentially? That's a little personal question, but I want to know if you guys want to answer that.
We don't have much loan in China, right? I got a first year from the government.
Yes.
Yeah, I got a first year
but
because
college
I very well. Then you got a tuition. They kind of, I don't know, like from my city that I got a first year paid by the city, and then the rest 3 years paid by my dad. Not proud to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the good thing is college education in China is not that expensive compared with the US and
yes.
Yeah, especially the US. So
yeah, so we're not in the right position to advise.
Yeah. Maybe we do have some friends that they don't come from better family background. I mean, in terms of financial situation, then they do need to work some kind of part-time jobs in school. I'm pretty lucky one that I don't need to be worried about that. And also, I was working in the international student organization. I basically try to find money for the flight tickets to go out for the international meetings as well. So yeah, I think that's for me. Yeah.
Yeah, well, so I guess you have to take your own opportunities, but I think every country is very different. So that was a okay. Anyways, we get that question out of the way. And the next question is actually for Zoe because because Zoe, you didn't choose a big firm at the start of your career. So not like Chancy and Toni, where they probably entered a consulting firm. You chose the food and beverage business, and we know that that's a very concentrated industry for small businesses. So when you first started, have you heard any objections, maybe from your friends or family, and how did you deal with that?
My family was like, "You're losing faith in Chinese because we're we do business, we're a good big family, da da da." And I also question myself. To be honest, I questioned my decision throughout the whole the first few years, many years actually, because like my peers, they work in the big company, they get good pay. I was getting really little pay, and I even had to mop the floor in the restaurant. So it was like really sometimes I would question, but I was like that kind of person that once I make a decision, I want to try to get the most out of it. I don't want to give up that easily. So somehow I just keep going and didn't give up. And later on, I when I've been being so focused in one industry for many years, actually later I became kind of expert in this industry, and people will come to me to ask for advice as well. So yeah, that was tough. And is but and also like even inside my company as well, because most of the people, they don't get good education, and I was basically one of the very few ones get graduate from really really good university. So they always think like, why do you need a university degree from such a good university to mop the floor, right? To manage a restaurant, and also one restaurant um, is also like selling Chinese fried dumplings. So why would you need such a good educational background to do that? And I also question that as well. But I think somehow a voice inside myself tell me that I'm doing what I want to do, and this is the decision that I made. So I should be responsible for that. And I turned that opportunity into something very special. So I had to, because I graduated from a good university, so they think I'm smart, right? At least smarter than many people. So they let me work with the CEO, the chairman, and let me sit at a lot of meetings, important meetings, and high level meetings. So I really turned myself into a kind of sponge. I try to learn and learn and learn, and really observe and think about it at night. So during the day, when I was working for a restaurant brand, that I was managing a kind of experimental business model, and I was the manager of that restaurant. So I have to wake up at 5:30 a.m. and then work in the restaurant as a manager, and then till 9 we will close the restaurant, and I go back to my dormitory, and then I will think about, I will do a kind of review of what we did right and what we did wrong. So I kept doing that for quite a long time. And so in the end, I actually have learned, and also learned so much more than others in this industry, because we're good learners. We graduate from good university, right? And then I became one of those special cases in this industry, and then people got to know me because of that. So so I got tagged on me already, like, oh, that smart kid from the good university, but doing the dirty jobs. And I had no problem doing any dirty jobs. So in the end, actually, I really learned a lot, and I figure out a lot of um like I find out a lot. I got a lot of findings that other people didn't have in my company. So I grew pretty fast. So I think yeah, that's why I said that I'm kind of a risk taker and really being very rebellious. Yeah.
So do you regret it now, or have you regretted at any moment, or?
Now I don't regret, because now is better than before. When I was young, and I think many people will have question about their job all the time,
Mm-hmm.
because when you're a junior, you can't really make big changes sometimes, because you have limited power because of your position. You're
Mm-hmm.
too junior. But
Mm-hmm.
when you get to higher position, you can make decisions. So that will make you
Mm-hmm.
feel much better. But it takes a long
Mm-hmm.
time for you to grow to a manager or a leader. So that's the process that you have to take. So when I look back, I think it's fine. That's why I said I don't regret any decision that I make. But if I sometimes I would give some advice to the young people that um, I don't know whether I made the right decision or not. But if you if I were you, I would not say I don't want to go to big companies. I don't want to go to small companies. Don't make any judgment because of some kind of impression. Anywhere you go, you will learn something from there. Big companies, small companies, it's really fine. Startups, anywhere you go, if you really work hard, you really try to learn something, it will be a good decision in the end. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you very much. I think that was very informative, and that was actually, through your personal experience, and I think that could also inspire a lot of our students. And because of the time, so I'll just ask one more, well, I'll just read one more question from our contestants. And this question probably can be for both Toni and Chancy. So because the two of you have all worked in, or your current position are require you to work in so many different areas and industries, to be familiar with so many different areas and industries. So how do the both of you feel about it when you walk into a new industry that you have no knowledge prior? So
That's the daily
any
job.
one of you.
That's the daily job.
job.
Every client is a new and then something new. So I think it's some people likes to stay where they're comfortable at. Some people likes to seek new challenges, just different personality. So I find learning new things always quite interesting. We have very, very niche industry clients doing, for example, the sports car trading online auction. Like when it first come to you, you would have no idea what that is, and then does that business existing in China? But once you figure out, and then I think my way of learning a new industry is by talking to people, because we just have the resource of knowing people in different industry while they're at top of their career. So it's best resource for you to turn to us. So maybe it's very different from the strategy consulting firm, because in our search business, we're more people focused, and then we're more about, just reaching out to people, talk to people, learn about new things, and then learn what's happening, in that market. For example, recently, I think in recent few years, a lot of companies were approaching us to hire, for example, DE&I, because diversity and inclusion has been a focus for a lot of company. A lot of company will say, can you guys give us a bit of example of the DE&I hirings that you have done for a certain corporate? And we just have to reach out to different people to understand what's their perspective, what they have been successful, what has been, I feel like sometimes if I wake up and I know today I'm going to meet a new client in a new industry, I feel very excited. I feel like this is something new for me to learn. So it's different perspective looking at it. It sometimes can be frightening because you don't have any knowledge, and you're afraid that because you don't have any knowledge, you might show your weakness. But to look at things at a different perspective, I think, it's an opportunity for you to learn something new. And then after that, you learn something new. And also you learn how to learn something new throughout that process. So I think it was, you don't need to, I don't know, that question comes from more of a panic when you're trying to, facing a lot of choices, you don't know what it is or anything. But I think it's a good thing to have, to face something new and to learn something new.
Thank you. Toni, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I think that the most important thing is make yourself a life learner, build the ability to be able to learn a new industry, learn a new area very quickly. Because when you guys go to start your career, maybe those jobs still hasn't been invented today. So because the world is changing so fast, and all of us need to change our career a few times in our life. So I think the most important thing is to build the ability to be able to learn things quickly and be able to fit into a new industry very quickly and make yourself sort of irreplaceable because of the ability to learn, instead of you have specific knowledge in one industry, because world is changing so fast and things are going to be outdated very quickly.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah, yes. Yeah. So as we come to an end of this today's panel, I just want to take this opportunity to perhaps have each of you give one, in a sentence or two, give like a suggestion to our contestant about their, future career path, or to encourage them or to inspire them, especially, considering their age, right? Given that they're 16, 17, 18 years old. So what would be a good suggestion to give them? So I mean, I'm with Toni now, so I guess we'll start with Toni.
Yeah, sure. I think follow your heart. So this is something that a mentor told me when I was facing a difficult decision. So despite you have your parents, you have your teachers, you have people like us today who might be older than you, more experienced than you, and we can tell you, you should do this, you should do that. But when it comes to your decision, I think it's most importantly to listen to your heart, and other people not necessarily know better than you, not necessarily can make a better decision for you. So yeah, follow your heart and make yourself accountable for it.
Thank you. Zoe?
I think I gave one piece of advice already. So do not set too many limits to yourself. That whatever decisions you make, if you really treat it seriously, and you will get the most out of it, and it will work in the end. Another one is, I think we tend to be very harsh on ourselves, especially for smart kids. So I think from time to time, we need to try to tell ourselves that we are good enough. Don't try to be too harsh on yourself, and we are really good enough. Most of the time, we are pretty good already. So that's my advice. Yeah.
Thank you, Toni. And I think that's especially true for our contestants at the International Economics Olympiad. So, I want to take this chance to also to say to our contestants, don't worry about your score or the results. I mean, we know that you've done an excellent job. And so, being here is already very big accomplishment. So you should be all very proud of yourself. So thank you, Zoe, for that pipe talk as well. So we'll have Chancy last but not least.
I think I echo a lot of with what they have said. I think first of all, don't live in what others expect you to become. Because I know, sometimes smart kids get a lot of expectations, but just forget about them. And I think in order to be able to connect the dots, to have the dots first. So try out different things. I feel like you should go out, and then whatever it is, internship, it is occasion to meet with different people, get an opportunity to have a scene on what the job is like. I think, just try out different things so that you can know what you like. So that's not, for example, big corporates doesn't work for everybody. My daily job is to interview candidates, and we certainly know each individual is very, very different. So you need to work on your strengths rather than think about a high pay, a high title is something that you're looking for. That probably doesn't drive you really happy every day. So I would say the one big suggestion is to work hard to find out what you really love, but don't take it easily to put others' expectation as your goal, because that would be, sometimes you will end up into an awkward situation where you don't know what you are, working for. And I think also echo to, I don't know how pressure it is for the competition, but as I always believe, I think it's always important is about the process, what you have learned, rather than do I achieve the number one or not. It's good to be number one, but it's good to be number two or number three as well. You should all be very proud of yourself.
Thank you, Chancy. And we, our time is up, but I want to finish off our workshop with I just got a private message from Sri Lanka, and I want to read that to you guys as a token for appreciation. So our contestant from Sri Lanka said, I guess this is the best event we had so far. It's very informative, moving, and inspirational. A big thanks to the panel members and the organizers. So thank you guys again. I love to chat, but our time is up. But so we hope to get to have more opportunities to invite you guys back, and hopefully next year we can do it in person after the pandemic ends. So thank you once again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
It was an honor.
Thank you guys. Bye. Thank